Family, welcome to another episode of Financial Freedom. I am your host and accompaniment on this journey, Derek Brown. Look, we are getting into part 2 of talking about our future in real estate after the pandemic. We have a wonderful expert here with us, Mrs. Elnora M. Linton. She is literally one of the greatest real estate agents of all time. Okay, I'm just saying, but no, she's seriously though. She's great. A wealth of information. She's here with us. She's actually is in GA, where she ranks in the top 20% of 380 agents in the Keller Williams Realty Atlanta Partners in Stockbridge, Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Linton, Mrs. Linton. Sorry.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for staying with us and having an extended conversation with me. So this is going to be good. So you left us on a lot of cliffhangers last episode. So we got into loans, FHA, VA, WNBA, all these loans, and I didn't know what any of it meant, right? And then you got into percentages and what we should have in the bank because I asked you, like I knew what I was talking about. And then so we need to rewind a little bit and kind of go back because you blew my mind with this thing. So you said I could have a 580 and get an FHA loan at 3%, and I was
3.5% down.
Even with home buying assistance programs, they want you to have a 640, but you're telling me less than that, I can still get a loan. So what's the optimal place for us to be in if we're trying to get a loan with a low interest rate?
Well, what you ideally you would like to have above a 680 credit score, because you're going to get the best rate. And when you get the better rate, then of course, that reduces the amount of your monthly payment. That saves you a lot of money. An FHA loan is 3.5% down. It is a government-backed loan. But the thing with an FHA loan, you will have to pay the mortgage insurance throughout the life of the loan. So unless you actually refinance it and switch loan products, or unless you sell the house or pay it off, that you will have that mortgage insurance.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Is there I don't know any better. Is there a penalty for paying off your mortgage, or is it not a good idea? Like I've heard a bevy of information that says don't pay off your mortgage, don't pay off your house, pay off your house. Which is which here?
Well, there is in most cases, no, there is no prepayment penalty. But if you're going to pay more than your monthly mortgage payment, what I recommend is that you pay that towards the principal only. And that will save you in interest. So that's, and we recommend that people pay, try to pay one extra payment per year, and which will save you thousands of dollars. That is towards the principal only. Another easy way of doing it, rather than, pulling out that lump sum, some people like to do that at tax time. They say, well, I'll do it at tax time. And tax time comes around, they get that refund, and then, they already spent that on something else. They're ready to go on vacation, all of that stuff.
I'm buying a Jaguar next year. Y'all ain't heard me.
Well, don't do it before you buy a house. Buy your house first.
I'll be sleeping in my back seat. Look, then I'll be able to live in there anywhere I want. Okay, so speaking of which, we had some good stuff come up in between shows. Let me ask you this: how big a deal is location when it comes to buying my house, my condo, whatever it is? How big is that? How big a deal is that?
That is a big deal. Because what other homes in your area are selling for will directly affect what your house sells for. So, because an appraiser looks at what has sold in your neighborhood, and they compare your square footage and the condition of the home and all of those things to what has already sold. And so if the houses in your neighborhood are not doing well, and you've got the biggest and baddest house in the neighborhood, it could affect your house. Or
So
just
even if
on
my house,
a regular basis, it affects it. What's happening, how well the neighborhood is maintained, and all of that stuff affects the value of your home.
so even if my house is pristine, grass just green, just chilling, just perfect, all the blades just waving hello when I walk past, everything is great. But if my neighborhood is bad, of the housing, I'm sorry, the housing in the neighborhood is bad, it's still going to affect my property values.
If Fred Sanford is across the street, that's going to affect you.
What is that going to affect my loan? If I'm looking at moving into a place, and let's say I want to buy a home here, and maybe I'm saying, hey, auntie so-and-so, you should buy a home here, it's cheap. Is that going to affect my loan if I move into a neighborhood that's not that great?
Yes. Well, because the amount that the bank is going to loan you is based on the amount that the house appraises for. They're not going to loan you a penny more than what it appraises for. So, yes. But when you get that appraisal, then your agent, if the home does not appraise, your agent will be able to, should be able to go back to that seller's agent, that listing agent, and say, look, okay, this didn't appraise, and you can contest it, or that seller may be willing to reduce the price to the appraised value, or you may want to pay. A lot of people are doing it right now because of the way the market is. Pay what is called the appraisal gap, the gap between what it appraised for and the sales price, the price that you're under contract for.
Wow. Okay. So how do I know the house is, and you kind of mentioned this a little bit before, how do I know the house is appraised fairly?
Well, your agent will be able to help you with that, but it's gonna, if it's in line with what's going on in the neighborhood, then you're fine. But if it's a big disparity, that's a red flag.
So what's the big disparity?
And I'm sure some of that is going on.
what's the big disparity?
If the house across the street sold for $250,000, and the house that you're buying, you're under contract for $250,000, and it appraises, and yours is in as good as or better shape than the one across the street, and they come back with an appraisal of 225 or 200, then that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a huge gap.
Yeah.
I'm not even good at math, and that's a huge gap. Okay.
Now there may be some differences, a few $1,000s here and there, but if there's a big disparity, then that's a concern.
Looking at those areas of how you became who you became, and then looking at what were all the influxes that interfered with all of the stuff. We don't like to do that. That's too much work, Selena. Sometimes you have to take it in small pieces, in small fragments. You can't just run through it and say, okay, let's merrily do this work. It'll be fun. No, it's not fun work. It's painful. But we have to do it to get through it.
Hey, Dad, I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent.
thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Let me ask you this. Like, so I'm in Atlanta right now. You're a Macon, Georgia native, from what I know of.
Yes, Mactown.
Yes. So you do work all over Metro Atlanta. So like the West End. I moved into the West End actually in 2006 when I first moved down to Atlanta. I came out here for school. It was a very different place then. It was a very different place than it is now, right? So, but I had people who actually bought houses in the area because they had forethought or knowledge that, you know, this area was going to improve before it got gentrified, right? What kind of pipelines of information do I need to tap into to know that kind of stuff? Because I remember before that place was built up the way it is now, I remember hearing people buying houses and I'm like, why are you buying houses in the West End? But they knew something I didn't. Where do I find that kind of information from? If I'm looking,
well, what people were doing at that time, they were, they were talking about the belt line and talking about all of the things that they were going to do. So that comes from the city. So you've got to look at the area and look at what's going on, the city plans, what companies are planning to come to the area, and all of those kinds of things. And that's what they did.
Okay. So I should be keeping my eye out for the papers, for the news I see online, for development,
Absolutely.
like big companies that may come here, big projects that may come to a certain neighborhood, and I should plan my purchase around those things.
Well, you can, yes. Now, and especially if you're talking about investment properties, which is a totally different animal. But if you're looking to buy, do an owner occupied, you're buying a house to live in, you may or may not want to do that. You want to buy that where it's convenient for you and your family.
So I know a lot of people are trying to do the whole Airbnb thing. They're doing they'll sublet their condo or their house or a room or stuff like that. You said that was a whole different animal as a rental property. What makes it such a different animal?
Well, so you have rental properties and then you have Airbnb. So
they're different.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have rental properties where people are literally renting a house from someone or renting an apartment from someone. Airbnb, some people just buy property and it is Airbnb only. They have people in and out. The thing about that is you have to be really careful with both of them because before you purchase that property, because homeowners associations are starting to crack down on Airbnb and on rental properties because in order to maintain the value of the other homes, the owner occupied homes in the neighborhood. Because they don't want a bunch of people in and out of the neighborhood that don't really care about the neighborhood. And then, of course, people are renting Airbnbs and they're having big parties and that kind of thing. So a lot of HOAs are not allowing them. Some are not allowing them at all. Some of them are restricting them. So you have to be careful with that.
So in your opinion, are HOAs a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it depends.
You see this look on my face, right? So just like,
yes. HOAs can be a good thing because it can stop your neighbor from painting their house bright purple or Pepto-Bismol pink, and bringing down your property value. It can stop them from, driving their cars on the front lawn, making sure that people maintain their properties, their lawns and such. So in that respect, yes. Some of them are kind of overreaching, and some it's just they're really really restrictive. So it's a crapshoot.
Because I've heard horror stories, but I mean I guess
Yeah,
the ones that are
yeah,
really doing their job you don't hear about at all because they're doing their job, I guess.
right, right.
So you mentioned earlier, and I think we mentioned this earlier, the sales history of a house. If a house has been on the market for a while, and I think you mentioned something about this when it came to the neighborhood too. If the house has been on the market for a while and it hasn't sold, it looks like a decent house, but it just hasn't sold. Or if it's been on the house, and you mentioned some of these houses are on the house for weeks and you're getting multiple offers. On either ends
Days.
of that days, on either end of that spectrum, are there red flags?
Well, if a house has been on the market for a considerable amount of time, particularly in this highly competitive market, there's an issue. And 9 times out of 10, it's overpriced. Yeah. The seller wants a certain amount, and that's what they want. And they're willing to let it sit there for whatever reason and not reduce the price. Because most homes right now, if they're in decent shape, they're selling pretty quickly.
So it sounds like the people who are contacting you have a target, like they have a target market that they want. And we talked about this before at the beginning of our last episode where, you have to go back and watch it, people. At the beginning of our last episode about the things that people kind of forget to do before they come talk to you. When I come to my realtor, how do I define my target market? How do I look at myself and go, hey, this is what I need to be getting, or this is what I want to get? How do I do that?
So what I'm going to do is ask you what it is that you want. I want to know what kind of house you want. You know, do you want land? Do you want something with a small backyard and those kinds of things? Do you want what things are just must-haves for you? Do you need a bedroom on the main floor? You know, for aging parents that may come to visit and those kinds of things. So I'm going to ask you those questions, and then I'm going to try to match you as close as I possibly can with a house that has as many of those things as possible.
Okay. As a realtor, right, who's seen thousands of houses sold, are there any primary staples of a house that maybe an amateur first-time home buyer like myself would not know to look for that's going to help my household value? Because you know more than I do when it comes to this type of thing. Like if I say to you, I want this, but you know this thing over here doesn't help at all with the home. Is there anything that people have asked for? And this may sound weird, but I figure why not? Are there anything that people have asked for that actually brings down the value of a house?
Well, say for instance, if it's a 4-bedroom house and you convert it to a 3-bedroom house, that could affect the value.
Okay.
You know, when you get ready to sell it. But if that's what you need for your family, you know, then that's fine. But those things like that, and if you go and do something really crazy in the yard and those kinds of things,
Okay.
Yeah, crazy paint colors, you know, odd things.
Let me ask you this, and this is one thing I was kind of surprised about when I was reading for this a little bit. Do they still use lead in paint?
No. That not in the state of Georgia. Now there are some homes that in Georgia that still may have them that were built before 1978.
Okay.
There are some, but most of the time you're not going to find any. But now anything that was built after 1978, because it was banned.
Thank you. Because I was looking at that. I was reading about asbestos, and I was looking at lead and paint. I'm like, people still use that, but it was still a question that people thought it was relevant to ask.
Right.
So now that we've discussed that, so if we decrease the amount of bedrooms or the overall space in the house for whatever reason, that could decrease the property value. So
Right.
when
Because
it
it's
comes
all in
to
what the next person wants, you know.
got you. So when it comes to the property itself, what are some of the costs that the potential buyers are going to have to absorb to maintain that property that we don't think about, people like me don't think about when they're looking for a house?
Right, right. So you're going to need you're not required to get an inspection, but I highly recommend that everyone get a home inspection before you buy a property.
Okay.
And you will have to, if you are getting a loan, you are required to get an appraisal. That home
Okay.
inspection is going to cost you anywhere from, I'd say, from about maybe 300 to about 475, depending. They base it on the square footage of the house, so it all depends on the size of the house.
Okay.
Your appraisal is going to cost you probably between 400 and 500,
Okay.
and those are upfront. Those are your upfront fees. And then, of course, at closing, then your down payment and your closing costs.
Okay.
And then you've got, prepaids with on insurance and things of that nature. So your homeowner's insurance. Now, your homeowner's insurance and your taxes, that is held in escrow, and then you have to pay that. You pay, that's part of your monthly payment.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jermaine Dolly, Mr. Hello Dolly himself, and guess what? You're tuned in to Tea and Worship with my homies, Mignon and Corey. Keep it locked, y'all.
Hey, y'all, it's Candy West, and you're watching Tea and Worship with Mignon and Corey.
It's your boy James Fortune, and you are watching my favorite news show, Tea and Worship, with my sis Mignon and Corey.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Have you seen more people now trying to do wills and estate planning now that we've gone through, are still going through the COVID-19 phase of our lives?
I've seen a lot more people trying to do that, to have wills, to have healthcare directives, to even to the point of having living trust. For example, a will goes through probate, so it's public knowledge. But trusts are not public knowledge, so families are really starting to take a hard look at what if I'm incapacitated.
One thing you mentioned, and I've heard this before, and this seems to be the common consensus, but I've heard a debate on both sides about whether or not, with all those fees you just mentioned, right? Those are just kind of coming in the door. But when it gets down into it, people who are paying more in rent than some people are paying in mortgage. And you even mentioned, even with homeowners insurance and certain maintenance issues, people are still paying less in their mortgage. Would you argue that buying a house juxtaposed with buying a condo, or ultimately, if let's say I just wasn't comfortable, I wasn't sure if a condo or a house was better off for me. And I cited a reason. I said, well, condos may not require as much maintenance as a house does. Would I have any validity in that, or would it be still true that a standalone house would be better investment?
Well, a condo may not require as much maintenance, but you're going to pay for it because you got a monthly maintenance fee with that condo. So it all depends on how much that fee is. And that can affect how much loan you qualify for as well.
Okay. See, I never even knew that there was a maintenance fee associated with a condo. So hold on. So what are the other fees? Are the fees to get into a condo the same as to get into a house?
No, they're very different. Very different, because see, in the with the condo, you have to pay for all of those common areas in that with that condo. The roof still has to be maintained. The exterior of the condo has to be maintained. The gym that everybody loves. Oh, I want to stay here and I can go downstairs and go to the gym, and all of that stuff. So you have to pay for that. The hallways. The landscaping and all of that stuff. So those fees, so it really depends on that condo association or townhome association that they determine what that fee is. And some of them can be really expensive. And if it's gated, that security gate to get in. And so, it can be really expensive. Vary from, oh gosh, a few $100s a year to a few $1,000s a year.
Ain't that nice? So would you go with a if you had to choose house, fully laid out condo, same amount of space, you would go with the house?
Well, I'm a country girl, so and I would rather not have anybody, and I've done that, been there, done that. I lived in New York City for a while, and in an apartment.
Okay, yeah,
and so I knew then that was not for me. I don't necessarily like having that many people near me. So so it's really a personal decision.
Got you. Where in there, right? It's a personal decision, but it's also a financial one.
Absolutely.
Where in there does my personal decision hit my finances and go, okay, well, I want this, but this is what I can afford? Where should my personal hit my financial?
When you talk to that mortgage lender.
When you talk to them, they tell you broke. That's what. Go ahead, finish. I'm sorry, Mr. Lee. Go ahead.
When you talk to that mortgage lender and you look at your bank account and says, okay, this is what I want, but this is what I can afford. And then we try to find you a happy medium.
Got you. So it's about being able to find a happy medium. Let me ask you this, because I've known people who are looking for houses and they're often afraid to actually tell the person all they want, right? So I heard you say more than once, tell me what you want and I'll try and get as close to that as possible. I am heavily a needs person. I guess I'm a stereotypical guy in that regard. I just need what I need. I don't need a whole bunch of what I want. I just need what I need. But I should come to you and I should tell you, this is what I want. And, if you can sprinkle in a little bit of what I need and fine. But I should give you my dream house. Or if I say, hey, I want to do a rental property, I should lay that out for you and let you do your job.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to tell you if it's realistic or not. Okay. I'm going to show you what is available in your price range. And so then we have a choice, we either up it or we do what we have to do. But sometimes people are not realistic in what they think they can get for that amount of money.
Okay.
And then sometimes, a lot of times, people think that they don't qualify for as much as they do. They qualify for a lot more than they think they do.
So if you so let me ask this question then. If I qualify for more than I thought I did, where should I draw the cap? Because I'm guessing I shouldn't go right up to the limit. I should stop at a place that will allow me to comfortably deal with whatever costs come associated with this, correct?
Absolutely. You want to look at your budget and your lifestyle and the things that you want to do. The way, if you're a homebody and you don't really like to go out to eat a lot and travel a lot and all of that stuff, so you may want to put more money into your house. But somebody that is out and about and likes to travel and all this, you want to consider your budget. And the kind of your lifestyle and the things that you want to do.
Okay.
And make sure that your mortgage, you leave room for not only the things that you want to do, but then those maintenance issues that are bound to happen. Because there's always something that needs to be done in a house.
One more question, and I think we're going to be running out of time on that. What does the material that the house is made of, or apartment is made of, or condo is made of, does that impact the price of the house? The reason I ask is because in this pandemic, so many people are on Wi-Fi. So many people are using virtual services. And I've had more than one conversation with somebody who goes, I have no reception in my house. None whatsoever.
Yes.
Do you find that as your people are looking for houses, that's a huge thing for them right now, especially with all the houses being stacked up?
Absolutely. And fortunately, a lot of the newer homes are not having that problem. But then you've got some areas, particularly in some of the suburbs and the communities, they just haven't, in the smaller suburbs, they don't have it yet. And so there is an issue. So that is something that before we sign on that dotted line, that's something that needs to be investigated.
Okay, got you. Thank you so much for your time, Mrs. Linton.
You're welcome.
I'm going to come looking for you myself because I may have questions as I go.
Please do.
But tell us where we can find you at if we got questions. And we love this some Mrs. Linton, so we trying to come ask some more questions. So where do we find you at?
You can find me at elnora.godormteam.com, and my number, I don't mind giving you my number. You can reach me at 404-861-2629.
That's 404-861-2629.
That's correct.
Well, all of our viewers have it, including me, because I do not mind asking questions to I'm blue in the face. So thank you so much for your time. I know your time is valuable, so thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Mrs. Elnora M. Linton, our real estate professional and expert. Thank you for joining us this evening or today on Financial Freedom. As always, please be safe out there. It was a pleasure having you. Be well.